Dear children, in today's world, there is a lot of class inequality. There are people who have lots of money and resources, and there are still people who are struggling to find the basic amenities of their lives. Today at hand, we have a poem by Stephen Spender. The poem's title is An Elementary School Classroom in a Slum. Let's give a reading to the poem first. Far from gusty waves, these children's faces, like rootless weeds, the hair torn around their pallor. The tall girl with her weighed down head, the paper-seeming boy with rat's eyes, the stunted, unlucky heir of twisted bones, reciting a father's gnarled disease, his lesson from his desk. At the back of dim class, one unnoted, sweet and young, his eyes live in a dream of a squirrel's game in the tree room, other than this. On sour cream walls, donations, Shakespeare's head, cloudless at dawn, civilized dome, riding all cities, belled, flowery, Tyrolese valley, open-handed map, awarding the world its world. And yet, for these children, these windows, not this world, are world, where all their futures painted with a fog. A narrow street sealed with a lead sky, far from the rivers, capers, and stars of words. Surely Shakespeare is wicked, and the map a bad example, with ships and sun and love tempting them to steal, for lives that slyly turn in their cramped holes. From fog to endless night, on their slag heap, these children wear skins, peeped through by bones and spectacles of steel, with mended glasses like bottled bits on stones, and all of their time and space are foggy slum. So blot their maps with slums as big as doom. Unless governor, teacher, inspector, visitor, this map becomes their window, and these windows that shut them upon their lives like catacombs. Break open till they break the town, and show the children green fields and make their world run azure on gold sands, and let their tongues run naked into books. The white and green leaves open, history is theirs, whose language is the sun. Well, the poem is an account of the bad conditions that the slum children face in the world. It depicts an elementary school classroom, a primary school classroom which has bad conditions. The poet Stephen Spender pioneered the poetic movement of 1930s. He was a prominent poet of the modern age, and his work was a powerful account of social and political problems he was very sensitive to. He was a pacifist, and he was scarred by the storms and the stress of the world after the two world wars, especially Europe. In this poem, in the age of economic bankruptcy and lack of social interest, the poet brings out the abject poverty and ensuing hopelessness for the slum children. The children whose parents are poor and diseased, and the children are thus undernourished and live in a dirty, squalor-like condition. Also, it also brings out the difference, the gulf between the rich and the poor, the haves and the have-nots, and how there is a lack of social responsibility or interest. The message the poem gives is, it is an appeal to the rich and the people who are in the have section of the society to help these little children with education which will empower them and enable them to see the world as it actually is, and not from the dirt and the squalor of the slum. In the first stanza, the poet describes the pathetic condition of the children. For them, the world is not healthy, fresh, green or blue. The world is all grey and foggy, because that is the only condition, that is the only exposure, the vision they have of their world. And it is not at all fresh. Again, they are also not fresh. They are badly kept, unkempt. They have a pallor on their face. They are yellowed face because of disease and undernourished. And their hair are like rootless weeds which are useless and straw-like. Then he describes a tall girl who has a bowed head because she is so depressed by the situation that she and her parents are in. Then there is a boy who is paper thin, who is as thin as paper, and all of them look scared and diseased. There is also another boy who is so undernourished that he seems to have inherited his father's disease, probably a respiratory disease, and he speaks in a diseased voice. And then there is a small boy at the end of the classroom who is not paying attention to anything being taught. He is lost in his own dreams, and probably he is looking at a squirrel and imagining himself to be playing the same games that the squirrel plays inside another room in the tree, the squirrel's home. So he is far away from this dirty place. In the second stanza, the poet describes the classroom and its bad condition. The classroom is as the children are dirty, their homes are also dirty, so the children are also dirty, the class is also dirty, neglected. The cream walls which were once painted have now turned a sour yellow color. It is a bad color, shows the destruction of the classroom. Also, the donors' names are engraved along with a Shakespeare's bust in the classroom. The walls have pictures, splendid pictures of valleys and buildings, big buildings, which they haven't seen. The children haven't seen the big buildings or the valleys or the map that there is. It is an open-handed map in the shape of an open hand, but these children have only seen a closed world of their slum. When they look out of the window, all they see is narrow, dirty streets and a grey sky. They are very, very unexposed to the beauties of the world, and it is an irony that they are being taught Shakespeare's literature which they cannot appreciate, and around them they have beautiful pictures which they can never see if something is not done to take them out of this classroom. This angers the poet, and the poet shows it. He says that Shakespeare's teaching them Shakespeare or Shakespeare himself is wicked for them, because there they are given a dream world which they can never achieve, and to reach that world, to escape this world, they take to stealing because they don't have education by them, they don't have the means to live a respectful life, and this world for them is not beautiful. They are not able to appreciate either a literary beauty or the physical beauty, the natural beauty around them, because they are not exposed to it, they haven't seen anything like that, and they have escapist tendencies. Either they steal or they dream, both of which are not realistic. They seem to be wearing skins. They are so undernourished, so poor that they don't have 2 square meals to eat. Their bones are peeping out of the skins that they are wearing, and even the spectacles that they are wearing have been mended so many times. Probably they have been handed over, they are second hand, or they have fished them from some garbage over which they keep sitting, the slag on which they keep sitting, and they look like bottled bits. When you shatter a bottle on a glass stone, it gets into so many bits of sparkling glass. That is how the children and the spectacles look. He is very angry, but then he gets to a pacifying tone in the 4th stanza, and he appeals to people, the governor, the visitor, the instructor, to make some effort to uplift these children, to help them see the world around themselves, and to also appreciate the natural beauty. Only when they are able to get out of this squalor, this dirt, this poverty, will they be able to appreciate and learn and become powerful. He says that reading books and news and new books, old books, seeing the world around them will actually make them realize how beautiful the world is. And he also says that when they get the rightful place under the sun, their rightful place and their importance, only then they will realize how they can aspire to become something in the world. It is a very touching poem, and also it instigates us to think about how we live and how we should feel socially responsible towards these have-nots. The literary devices used in this poem are imagery. The description of gusty waves makes you imagine the waves, picturize them on the sea. The rootless weeds, the children's hair and the children themselves are compared to rootless weeds which have been taken out. They are like rootless weeds of the society. They have nowhere to go and they are useless. Then the paper-seeming boy is as thin as paper. This is also imagery. You can imagine how thin the boy must be. And the sour cream walls make you imagine the yellow sour cream and how the dirty and squalid the walls are. Then there are Shakespeare's head and Tyrolese valley and bottle bits on stones. These are symbols. They help you realize that Shakespeare's head is the symbol of literary beauty and Tyrolese Valley's pictures are symbols of natural beauty. These are only symbols for them because they are not able to see these in reality. They cannot even imagine how they look. And the bottle bits on stones are like the scattered bottle glass on stones. The children are like that. There are similes and metaphors used. The simile is a comparison with something that uses the word like or as. Like rootless weeds, like bottle bits on stones, and like catacombs. Catacombs are subterranean cemeteries. The slum-like conditions, the small rooms of scholars are their catacombs. Then there is a metaphor that is implied comparison. Rat's eyes, scared eyes like a rat's eyes which are scared. Tree room, which is not a room actually, a room in a tree which the squirrel has made for itself. Lead sky, their sky is not blue, it is grey because they cannot see anything beyond the fog and the clouds in their slum. The theme of the poem is the apathy of the government and the people towards these have-nots, and it is a scathing criticism on how we forget our social responsibility and do not take interest in those who do not have as much as we have. Then the social injustice and the class inequality is also brought out.